Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. This week I've got to make up on a promise which I continuously make, so if you send me games I will cast them, if you send me replays and interesting games, other stuff. And this week I had a lot of games sent to me by Martin Royackers, the author of Literbot. And I got a game of Simon Prince, the author of Tyr, both Terran and Protoss. And Martin even sent me an AI versus human game, which I'm always interested to cast. I hope it won't bug out, and let's see how it goes. So in this game we've got the redoubtable TSCMU, and the enemy is Tyr Protoss. And this is one of the games I was sent, and as it's got a jolly well Protoss in there and a TSCMU, why not? And let's make this a little bit quieter, because that Terran brass band's really getting at it. We've got scouting going on, and once both players have been scouted, here we go. TSCMU hitting the field with a Marine, while Tyr Protoss taking a very fast B4 gateway expansion. That's pretty ballsy. But then again, TSCMU is going for an undefended or semi-undefended command center with a bunker which is okayly placed, and Tyr Protoss, not even deigning to make a unit, is going for 22 workers before the first combat unit, and that's really something. First goon out now and taking up position near the natural nexus. TSCMU transferring some workers. It's got a tank already, it's got a bunker, and it looks like nothing much is going on. Tyr Protoss going to 34 workers, just making a hell of a lot of workers. Goon range, going to do some kind of a goon push with range, but the timing is so absolutely late. I really doubt he's going to make any kind of a push, especially considering TSCMU's got the turrets up, got the tanks up. And did TSCMU scout some kind of cloaked tech? No, he couldn't, because there isn't. And we've got the first Reaver out, so TSCMU now with the scouting SUV hitting the map, and with only 3 tanks at home. Look at this army, what the... let's take stock of what TSCMU is doing. A lot of factories, factory here, factory there, and even an an academy. So that is a lot of defense, a lot of tech, and a very small army. If Tyr would have pushed, he could have done some damage. Perhaps tag another base and a third expansion behind that, or a second expansion. Nice scan from TSCMU, which we're lucky to cast. And Tyr Protoss now stopping worker production, going for the army. And the army is sitting here, sitting still. That's very well done. And still I wonder why you need that 10k APM if it's sitting still. TSCMU having some surplus workers, they are going for a long distance mine without building a command center. And TSC's army is finally getting into some kind of shape. But there are a lot of units mulling about here, I don't know why, and tanks there. And we see the first conflict coming up. The army of Tyr Protoss is coming into range of the spider mines at least. Tank here, tanks there, and I really don't know what TSCMU is doing with all these units here. Its pathfinding is pretty good, so let's see and find out. Tyr now going for the bridges, but there is one tank with a couple of supporting units behind that. More tanks are coming up, and as the zealots have fallen, the tanks are still there. This tank is still there. Oh, and those mines were stacked, so they didn't get to blow. Now these goons are very brave, and this tank is going to fall. This tank may be falling as well, but TSCMU's got the high ground, and this is pretty much over. Still though, Tyr is supporting the push, and the Reavers are coming up. These might be a problem for the second, for the natural, and Tyr Protoss could have taken another base, but instead choosing to 3 goons here at home, supporting the push with whatever rallies it can master, and killing the comsat. That's interesting. And TSCMU is not his usual self. Lots of units here on the high ground, and the workers are having a hard time dealing with the scarabs, but the scarabs are freaking out on the bridges. That's really something. And now TSCMU is fighting to reclaim its natural, but there are vultures out here, so the reinforcements are somewhat lagging. But there are 3 Reavers, and without tank support, there is a 1 tank here. It is not siege, and the other tanks are sort of blocking the ramp on that side. And now with all the scarabs, oh dear, we've got 3 Reavers, 4 soon. You really need some kind of siege tanks, and these tanks are way too far out to deal with this this push effectively. And with the rallies coming up, even if Tyr hasn't got a third, the main is mining out, same can be no Tyr. That's strange. The Reavers are really going berserk in the natural, and TSEMU is really messing up the tank micro, because moving tanks which are not siege versus Reavers isn't really how you go about things. Good siege one here, but these two are not in range of anything, and Tyr is going to break down the natural. There it goes. And although a couple of Reavers are going to fall, Tyr now has 2 versus 1 bases. TSEMU got up another one in the rear, that's pretty good, and one here as well. So once these Reavers are dead, oh dear, TSEMU's tank micro is really abominable. But TSEMU held whoa, that's a large army, and TSEMU really needs to get his tank in order fast, because if he doesn't, it's going to be a bloody mess, and then a Terran bloody mess. Look at the army. The army supply of Tyr is about double of that of TSEMU. No scout. Ooh, but TSEMU's army is really messed up. There is no air support, there is a tank here, there is nothing there, and Tyr is just going to make its way up the ramp because there is no tank whatsoever. And although it's mining out fast at home, I think this army is going to seal the deal for Tyr Protoss, because these vultures are not going to do anything. And although there are 2 tanks, they may exact a brutal toll on these goons. You can see the Goliaths and the Vultures are going to do their best to tank damage, but this tank is now into range, and that's one of the... Oh, that is the penultimate tank for TSEMU. This tank needs to be repaired pretty quick, but there is such a large Protoss army in the main. That is not good, and this tank is sieging, unsieging, not dealing with this goon very well. Another goon is coming, more units are coming. And this tank is going to fall as well, and TSEMU are really dropping the ball with his positioning. Well, you can say what you will, but this push of Tyr is pretty good, attacking 3 sides at once. TSEMU now sort of holding the main, but at the cost of the 3rd and the 4th. All the workers die, and Tyr Protoss hasn't got a 3rd coming up, and that is really strange. The Terran could expand pretty well. TSEMU retaking the natural, but the army is 12 versus 78. That's going to be a problem. And now this massive gateway plus Reaver is going to make its way up again in the main. And as there is only 1 tank and 1 Goliath, what can TSEMU do? So that is the GG. Tyr Protoss mined out everything, but is killing TSEMU because TSEMU is also mined out. And, well, that is the GG. So, without further ado, let's get into the... What the bloody hell? No, I don't want that. I would very much like to see this game played, and it's Crispy Drone. And the name gives it away. Playing Zerg versus Litterbot, and I do not know which version of Litterbot we are having ado with, but let's suppose for the moment that's an okay version. Probably the CIG version if I know Litterbot, and I'll be interested to see what Silly Drone or Crispy Drone, I hope there won't be fire bats, what Crispy Drone, sorry Crispy Drone, I shouldn't have called you Silly Drone, what the human's going to do, and looks like expansion pool. On the other end we've got Litterbot doing preciously little. 2 depots, no barracks, that's really strange. Is there some kind of hidden... Oh well, there is a barracks here in the rear. A scouting drone going after the marine, and the marine has really got to micro, and you can see that human micro can be way superior to that of an AI. That drone really got a masterful kill, not even a single hit point scratched. And Crispy Drone going for the in-base hatchery, which is standard in human ZV anything, basically. And a couple of drones in the natural as well. Scouted, and saw, well, there isn't too much coming up from Literbot. Literbot's going for a quick expansion and one Marine. Hello, oh, it's got a bunker. It's not brilliantly placed, but I think you can sort of hold that. 2 links coming up. I suspect they're going to run by. Quick lair for Crispy Drone, so perhaps 2 base muter. Look at the gas and look at the worker count. It's the human players really getting away with a lot of drones, and basically that's because the Terran isn't exerting any kind of pressure, and the Zerg player isn't expecting any kind of pressure. So in human versus human, such a lot of workers for a Zerg, 25, keeping pace with the Terran. That's really, really ballsy, and I think that's going to be the Spire. If you look at the gas stacked, it's got 300 already, or he has got 300 already. Assuming Crispy Drone is not a she, which may be a safe bet if you are a Brute War player, but let's go and find out. So Literbot going for 2 barracks, academy, and some upgrades later on. Couple of links coming up, but I think with the bunker here and the reserve forces here, they might be conveniently placed closer together. 3rd base at the other end of the map, that is something that Zerg players in AI land should do more often. And Literbot going for the turrets. So I don't know, there is no comsat yet. I don't know if he suspected that there is a Spire, but there is a lot of anti-air already. We've got no turrets here, that's could be improved upon. 1 turret here, a couple of Marines there too. Don't know what they're about. And here come the muters. So let's see human muter micro versus an AI, and there are such a lot of muters they don't even really bother to micro pretty much. They're just going, and look at the damage they're inflicting upon these Marines. These Marines, really, I don't think they've got the range upgrade yet. And in muter versus Marine, you would really like to have that. And the muters cliffing beautifully. That's something that AIs could learn from as well. And all the Marines are dying. Look at this muter cluster, it's really out of control. And the worker count for Crispy Drone now at 30, going for more gas, and I think those are going to be drones. Muters retiring for a moment, you can see they have barely been scratched, and these 2 bunkers are going to be prey anytime soon. There goes the turret, being microed down somewhat clumsily, but I think it's, yep, there it's going. And now all the workers are going, and this turret is yet unfinished. But it's only 1 turret, and these muters, as I said, are cliffing the SCVs and any unit on the low ground beautifully. The difference in APM, Crispy Drone maintaining a 250 APM, that's pretty good for a human, but of course could be, well, this would be a bother to compare it to the 4K that Literbot's sporting at the moment. Literbot got a tank out, got a turret out, and I think that Crispy Drone at this moment is just sitting back and seeing what the AI is going to do. Just clipping the Marines a little bit, not letting them get out too many. And Literbot's really struggling at this moment. Money is quite high. Could build a lot of Marines, but the barracks are sort of lacking. It's got only 4. And the muters are all over it. So if this is going to be a vessel, it's going to take a while before this irradiate is going to hit. And now Crispy Drone going for a Hydra switch and fast lair, hive, and a lot of drones. Rally points are somewhat not set, and more drones here as well. These muters are going to do everything. Now taking some damage, so Crispy Drone getting a little bit ballsy, but as you can see by the amount of blood on the ground, it's still a battle which Crispy Drone is really winning hands down. Versus good muter micro, there is, well, AIs in general are not really at the point where they can stop that. Crispy Drone now returning. There is a vessel out, and it's going for the protection of these 2 bunkers, which is good. And if it's going to get off an irradiate, but it should by now be running the hell out of there, because these muters are going to catch it. And now running with the concept of save zones is not really there for AIs. They just haphazardly build some bunkers, and now they're going for a push. So if you've been harassed like with a 2-gate for that long, you really should know that you can't really make a push with 5 Marines, a tank, and a couple of medics, and a half-dead science vessel. That's a nice irradiate. Oh, that does a lot of damage. and that may just be the saving grace. But if you look at how many lurkers there are and how many mutas, this is not something you can really get into. Litterbot now keeping its distance, blasting away at the lurkers, but the Marines, the Marines are taking hits left and right, and that's just stupid. Yeah, that's not really working, but still the AI is pushing uphill with Marines versus lurkers and a clump of mutas. The problem is that there is a large Zerg economy behind this, not a fourth, so that may be going for Litterbot. Litterbot now taking a third, and here's where those AI APM come to shove. It's really going, and as Zerg, if you don't kill units, this push is going to get bigger and better, and all the units are just going to add up. So every time they knuckle down, oh, that's another good irradiate. Now there are so many Marines that the Muta weapon's kind of dead, and Crispy Drone's got a lot of money, but is now struggling to get any kind of defense off the ground. And oh, Litterbot parking its tanks right into a lurker field. That's not how you do it at all. Doing a lot of damage with the bio, and this science vessel is supervising a wholesale slaughter of Marines and some lurkers, but both tanks died, and that's not good at all. We've got some mutas still. They may perhaps one time be morphed into Guardians, but fourth base coming up for the human player, for Crispy Drone, and 2 lurkers dying. So these lurkers are somewhat low, and the Marines should run Forest. Oh god, there they go. And now these lurkers can just run up to this tank, kill it, and we've got 2 vessels now. That's good. Links coming off, and perhaps with a couple of fire bats we will see some Crispy Drones. As you can see, Overlord's still there, but Litterbot pushing with some effectiveness, and although Crispy Drone's got a lot of economy, there is a large bio swath coming up. The lurkers though are going to do the damage, and pushing back. If this tank dies, this tank will die. Yeah, it will just die. The Marines are not really committed, and Litterbot is just filing in the Marines one at a time. That's not really ideal, but it's sort of working because it's got such a lot of APM, such a lot of workers. The income is really great. Might take a fourth any time now, and it's just really the human player under pressure at the moment. The vessel cloud is growing. I think these are 3, and Terran is just going to push. Now, there will be a Defiler mount, and the question is, will Litterbot deal with that correctly? Zerg forces are going to find some medics. Tank is going to siege. These units are coming to come back though, and they could do with a mechanism where you can stim and run up to unburrowed lurkers. These medics are now taking way too much damage. This tank is going to live, and if these medics live a little bit longer, I think that this tank is going to range down these lurkers quite handily. And then Terran is in a bit of a bother because, oh, this tank is dying, and now we've got a swarm. Only one swarm though, and the vessel cloud is there. So with the tank, a couple of Marines for support, and the science vessel. Oh, that's an ugly, ugly swarm, and Litterbot is ignoring the swarm. Oh, very well done. And this tank is going to go down. This lurker is not getting damaged at all. Tank just out of range. Defiler just out of range. And this bio ball is really going to grow stronger and stronger. Litterbot might take a fourth now because the main must be getting low. And although the science vessel cloud is slowly growing, it could do with a little bit more, especially considering there are defilers in the on the field, and this is a really good match because the human player, oh, and that's a really brutal swarm. The lurkers just running straight in. The bio bull is moving back, and although, yep, there you go, tank's now going to siege. The problem is that the human player's got a really good concept of what a dark swarm is and does, and Litterbot's sort of struggling with that. Now we've got the Nidus Canal, another base, couple of sunkens, more hatcheries being built, and the human player is going to run away with this if Litterbot doesn't find a way to deal with these swarms. And the Marines keep this tank safe, lots of links dying, and you can see Crispy Drone. Ooh, that's a good swarm, but the lurkers are now unprotected, and they are going to be oh well, 2 tanks on the high ground, and Zerg really hasn't got the forces to push anymore. It needs to die. This Defiler needs to die pretty quick. And there it goes. These lurkers though suffering from the tanks on the high ground, and this position, although there is a swarm over it, is not really assailable by Zerg because there is so much bio. Litterbot really pulling all the macro stops and going for it. Main is mining out. Say no, Zerg, of course not. Zerg's got a lot less drones there. And the tanks are really dishing out the damage. The vessel cloud is growing. The problem though is that the human player is growing as well. The worker count is in favor of Zerg. And with the Zerg intelligence, Zerg is going to do a backstab anytime soon. Holding, oh, that's a really brutal plague. And the tanks are trying to kill things which are under swarm instead of ranging this defiler here. Here come the vessels, but they haven't got, what are they irradiating? And yeah, the human player is just going to move in and kill stuff. Good game though, because Litterbot's sort of holding its own, large bio army, and although he's losing units at an atrocious rate and not really dealing with swarm well, due to the macro capacity it's got. Oh, we've got a battlecruiser! Battlecruiser alert! Oh dear, that's going to be good. How many starport? Oh, there is only one starport, so it's either a battlecruiser or a science vessel, and with only one starport and not a fourth. That is really strange because Litterbot might easily take one. Looks like it's waiting for the money, but it's more press to build units. And this battlecruiser ignoring the swarm, just trying to attack a lurker, and that's really something that AI should deal with better. These lings are going to be mopped up at the cost of a handful of marines. These two defilers though, yeah, what can you do? The marines stimming in and go! A beautiful plague, but there is nothing to kill these poor defilers, and now the lurkers coming in there, and there are no medics at all. So these lurkers going to have a devil's breakfast with... No! Oh god, all the marines are plagued and dying left and right. And that is really the difference between a human and an AI. The human will understand when its enemy is vulnerable, and the AI will just stick to her heuristics and try to deal with it as best as he can. The Terran push though, at the meanwhile, is rolling up here, and the Zerg is, or the human player is trying to micro two parties at once. We've got one here, we've got one there. And now the tanks are rolling up, so I think this Nidus is going to go down. And if there is no... the human player is now reduced to harvesting, to consuming drones for energy. There are two tanks now, and this push has sort of stalled because there is not enough APM. The human player's got a huge amount of money. The army's relatively puny, and with 200 versus 20k APM, it's really a mess. This base is under attack. That base is under attack. There's still that battlecruiser, and although there is a swarm popping up, versus all these tanks, I don't really know if it's going to do you very much good. And there are also SCVs in the main attacking drones, and that is really imbalanced because these AIs can attack at multiple points at once. There is a lurker train on the move though. The marine rallies are trying to stop them with a scan, but taking a lot of damage, but this push is getting weaker. Bad news for Litterbot is that this base is going to go down, and there is no fourth, the naturals mined out. This push eventually will be cleaned up. This battlecruiser is pretty low, and we've got cows. And that's always in balance. The cows now going for the charge, they're not really microed, are now moving back. The third is down. All the bases for Crispy Drone. If Litterbot would have taken these bases, the production really would have been incredible. But as it's stuck on max 3, I don't know what that's about. It should really put a higher priority on another base. Because this outpost, although it's doing pretty well, every damage it takes, it cannot replenish because Crispy Drone's got a big bang, Litterbot's only got a lot of gas. And this battlecruiser with 1 HP will eventually go down. And Litterbot steadfastly keeps pushing. Should have opted for either long distance mining, protecting its third, going for a fourth, and well, keep pushing, keep pushing. The human players got things sort of under control. You can see the APM dropping somewhat. It's not really as important now, the match is won, but it's also a strain to keep up 250 APM as a human player. The battlecruiser is still there, the lings are coming up, but with Swarm, with Plague, this is going to be the last of Litterbot's push, and although the battlecruiser is supervising things nicely, this is over. It's over. That was all. couple of medics are left, and I'm going to call the GG, because the Zerg player is now in tight control of things, and that's a lot of links. Not even a single, oh, and that's the game. So game ended. Human player took the game, and that was that. So let's get back to the plan, and before I do, let me show you what the... whoa, no, I want to see this. The ELO ratings, as can be seen, Crazio on top with almost 2400 points, then Ironbot, and then TSC Moo. TSC Moo dropped, was 100 points below Iron and Crazio, and then comes the rest. Neo Edmund Zerg with the 4 pool, doing pretty well, then TSC Moo in there with all the other races. So basically at the top we've got Crazio and Iron, and let's see what that is going to look like. We've got Crazio, and let me speed this up a little bit, because otherwise the broadcast is going to run pretty long, and it's pretty long already, because we had that great human versus AI game. If you are watching this or know anyone who plays as a human versus AI, do send me some replays, because they are very interesting, not only from a game point of view, but also from an AI point of view, where you can really point to things that AIs have got to learn to deal with humans better. Meanwhile, we've got Crazio repelling the scouting SCV, and likewise happening at Iron's end of things. We've got a Vulture, and the Vulture is going to come to grips with the Marines and the other Vulture. So Crazio choosing to go for a lot of Marines is not really working. Its Vulture is going to go down, but now with the Goliath it's pretty good versus Vultures. And as there is no repairing SCV, this Goliath clips 2 Vultures and gets off scot-free. Another Vulture coming up, and that might be a really good decision for Crazio. Of course, the decision to defend at the choke is pretty well done. Only there is one difference, that is that the main base is on the low ground and the naturals on the high ground, so it would be much more advantageous to defend here. But of course, the concept of high and low ground isn't really there in the current state of the game. So now the Goliath's moving out, trying to kill the Vulture, succeeding. More Vultures are coming, couple of mines being laid. And, ooh, that's an ugly hit. But immediately with the repair, and these Vultures don't really dare engage these Goliaths straight up. I don't know why they are going... Oh, there is a couple of raids, actually. And Crazio with the turrets, but the turrets are not really covering the entire base, and that's still something that Crazio seems to be lacking, that it's, and AIs in general too, that you really need to cover your entire base to be safe from drops. And for example, this turret's pretty well placed, so your Marines can't really get hurt too much. But a turret here and there would be really great, because then you can sort of zone out all the raids and take all your combat units here to do other useful things. Now Crazio delaying the natural for an eternity, and Iron doing the same. So state of the game at the moment is just going for a lot of stuff off one base. Iron's got the map, Crazio I think's got the tech, because at this moment it's Vultures versus Goliaths, and of course that's not really working. There is a Wraith for Iron as well, and as the turret cover is really suboptimal, these 3 depots are in a bit of... are getting harassed. These Goliaths can deal with mines so well, look at that. Every time a mine pops out, they immediately turn and focus fire it down. Here we go again, mine pops up, another one, 2 mines pop up, but with the insane APM that AIs can develop, it is an easy peasy thing to focus fire mines. And Crazio going for a small push, and as well as it should, because the Vultures are now killing Goliaths, because the Goliath numbers are stretched. Crazio going for a push should be, because if Iron gets this natural up, Crazio's in a bit of a problem, and these 2 Wraiths are going to be repelled by the 1 Goliath and 1 Wraith. Nevertheless, Crazio supporting the push and doing quite well. There are still 5 Goliaths left. Oh, 1 dies, and 2 Wraiths should be okay, because Iron... oh, there is a tag. So Iron is really relying on Vultures to do the damage. That's okay. A couple of Marines are coming off, and Crazio should be thinking about taking a command center now. Not really doing so. Iron's got it nearly there. Crazio's got the map, but not really using it at the moment. Went for very expensive Goliaths compared to Vultures at the start of the game, and now there are so many Vultures and the Goliaths are spread up, so they get picked off one by these herds of roving Vultures. Got a tank for some suppressing fire. Crazio moving back to base, and with the 2 floating buildings as well. This Goliath Crazio should keep its stuff together more. Iron running sort of away with this now with the natural up, and that will just allow it to make that many more units. Crazio going for some kind of a home defense, but on the low ground, and as soon as the tanks are here for Iron, I think it's a done deal. Crazio really delaying the natural, and that is something that we saw to be one of Litterbot's flaws. It could perhaps have won the match versus the human player Crispy Drone if it had taken another base. Iron trying to do everything of just one base, not really working. You haven't got the comsat, you've got only one turret, and Iron is running away with this. The supplies are bifurcating, Iron taking the upper fork and Crazio the lower one. Crazio mining out the main, still no turrets here, and you have to defend with raids. Unit composition wise, Crazio is doing great, but then as it ventures out on the map, these units all get scattered and they get blown up one by one. Although this push is really what a momentum. Iron refuses to fight, although it's got superior numbers. And Crazio, why isn't Crazio taking a natural? That's really boggling me. And now Iron's got the tank up. 2 wraiths are trying to kill it, but 1 wraith of Iron's is trying to kill it as well, and this turret is going to go down. Iron has got the very good position, and if Crazio had any consideration of high ground, low ground relations, it must have defended here, taken an expansion, and this is just not good. This small expeditionary force is going home. Good decision in my opinion. Iron's got this natural up for so long. Crazio is mining out the main at an alarming rate. And this turret is just going to do damage and damage. These wraiths are going to suffer. 1 dies. Expeditionary force for Crazio cleaning up the contain. But the big problem is that there is no natural here at all. All the expansion had been mined, so Iron's got a pretty good concept of where and what is going on. This tank is being repaired so much. It's the wraiths of Crazio aren't really able to touch it. And behind this, Iron with the signature turret tank push is slowly crawling up, and this is a base going to be taken. Iron's got the money. Crazio only now starting the natural, and the main is almost out, so that's way too late, unfortunately for him. But Iron is keeping up the pressure, and look at this incredibly nice done contain. Couple of tanks, lots of workers, couple of wraiths. And Crazio is just prevented from taking to the map. Crazio's got a lot of wraiths, but with all the turrets here, and there will be a 3rd comsat available for Iron soon too, it's going to run way out of control. Iron doubling the supply, worker-wise, nearly double. Army supply, double. Crazio's got the natural. Problem is, main is out, and that's a huge problem. Also, there are no turrets here, so Crazio is spending again a lot of time defending from small wraith incursions, and with Goliaths now killing an uncloaked wraith. But you need 1-2 turrets. You are free to do here whatever you want. Defend the high ground, take this position, take that base. Unfortunately, that is very hard to do. So now it's defending, and Iron is pushing. Iron's main is out, Crazio's main is out. Problem for Crazio is Iron's got 2 bases. And I still think that the more modern the AI, the more emphasis there is on macro. You can see that with Crazio. Crazio used to be very defensive for a very long time, and even now when it's getting more aggressive, it doesn't place the same emphasis on taking more expansions, winning the longer macro game, than does a new bot like Iron. Saw the same thing with Litterbot 2. The decision to take expansion is a very costly one, but not taking an expansion will spell certain doom in the long run, and if you haven't got an expansion, you are going to suffer. And Ironbot might capitalize on that. might just say, well, I've got the money, the enemy is contained. That should be a parameter too, if the enemy can move out or not, or can threaten any expansion. Crazio making a push work with a couple of tanks. Problem though is no income coming from here, harassment going on there, and Iron getting a 4th. That is very well done. So yeah, Crazio might have the better tank micro, might have the bigger tank count, might have the better tank and wraith combinations, but without a 3rd and a 4th you are going to die, and that is simple as math. The wraiths are still taking some damage from the turrets and the Goliaths. The tanks are being fought back little by little, and Crazio could perhaps take this base, put up a couple of turrets, then this part of the base wouldn't be harassed so much. The wraith count for Iron though is going to get out of control, and these tanks, these 7 tanks, can't do everything by themselves. SCVs are pretty, and look at all these turrets. There is never going to be any wraith harassing here. 2 turrets here might have saved you 5,000 resources in wraiths and a lot of time, and 3 units to defend here or attack here, and that's just not it. Must have a concept of where your base is, what's safe, what's not, and you can't just keep repairing these 3 depots. You need to build 1, 2 turrets, you're done. So yeah, pretty well done for now, but I think Iron is still the stronger Terran. It's got a better concept of the game, and although in the initial stages it relies on vultures a little bit too much for my taste, it gets the map control, and once you've got the map control you can take more bases, and Crazio is confined to 1. Iron at the moment nearly tripling the supply of Crazio. Iron might just trade at this point, say, well, let's send in the vultures first and move after with the tanks. It's very, very cautious. Of course, as a containment strategy, that's pretty good, but if you look at the army supply difference, it's almost triple. And Crazio can never hold, and Crazio can never replace, so that's the theme of the game. Iron might be a little bit more aggressive in these stages of the game, sort of should take into account the enemy's number of bases, the army size it's got, and depending on that, just A-move this mass of tanks and vultures and just be done with it. Perhaps do something, a nuke, a large drop, a battle cruiser switch, a hard wraith switch where you build 20 or 30 or 40 wraiths. But this eternal inching up on the enemy with tanks is very deadly as well. And every time Iron takes an inch or 2, it will build another turret, and that's going to, it must affect the defenders mentally. There is just a wall of red, and it's just like Germany used to feel in the Cold War. You've got this Soviet Union encroaching upon you from every side, and it's so big and it's so huge, and Crazio's little army is just like the Alamo. Iron, meanwhile, maxed, banking money like a madman, like a banker, and plastering the map in turrets. Can we see how many turrets there are? No. Where is it? No, we can't see how many turrets there are. That's a bit of a unfortunate. Army supply wise, we've got for Iron 2 medics, 60 spider mines, 1 vessel, 3 raids, 17 tanks, and 27 vultures. Crazio's composition is more expensive, no vultures, no marines, but also no vessels, and the wraith count is severely depressed, and that is going to be it. So going to take this for granted, going to hop into the next game. Iron wins this one for now. And I thought, well, let's see, Literbot CIG, and there must be a 5 Literbot version on the server by now. I don't really know what this is. This game was sent to me by Martin Royaker, so perhaps it's going to be interesting. And I'm still amazed that still this Congo lining of SUVs is working. You might cut it off here and kill it in 20 seconds, but it's still something that's not really. Oh, and the vulture. Oh, that's the vulture for Ironbot. And these marines by Literbots are just going to be thrown away. That's very unfortunate. 2 more vultures coming up for Iron. Iron might run away with this. Where are the rallies for Literbot coming from? They are here. Now already you see Litterbot being a little bit ahead and winning these early engagements. That's pretty good. Might do something with that SCV before venturing in again, because there will be fresh vultures here. These ones for iron are getting pretty low, but getting into the SCV line. And these vultures for iron were stationed here at the factories. And that's a very vulture heavy build from Litterbot as well. Litterbot now with the upper hand in army supply and the defender's advantage, chasing Iron's vultures out. Iron there with a Wraith already, so these vultures are going to suffer a little bit. But now Litterbot's heading into Iron's base, and they will be able to do some damage to a depot. Why not? And then die. That's something that should be different as well, because you might have killed 2 or 3 SCVs, which might have been worth it. Doing about 50 damage to a depot is not really. And with the Wraith and the Vultures, Iron's army supply is getting bigger and larger than Litterbot's. Litterbot going for a couple of Goliaths, and that's the same thing we saw Crazio do earlier, because versus Vultures, Goliaths are pretty good. Their damage is a lot bigger, they are not being small units, they take less damage from Vultures. The only thing you've got to be careful of is not running them in one at a time versus a huge lot of Vultures, so that might be improved upon. The question is, who is going to take the expansion first? It looks like Litterbot, because Litterbot's stacking money and taking an expansion, but the problem is Litterbot's army is so large and Iron's army is so large, and these Goliaths really should not move in there 1, 3, 4 at a time. They're just going to take damage, and the mines are going to be a problem too. That said though, there are a lot of vultures falling, lots of mines are falling. This is a very brave vulture. Boom! Yeah, there you go. That wasn't so quick. Clever. And then they just wade into this morass of vultures. More Goliaths coming though, so pressure being put on the natural. What Litterbot ideally should be doing is tear this down, kill the SCVs, get more ahead with his own expansion, and do something with that, but instead they tried. Oh god! If you have got only 2 Goliaths, you shouldn't wade into a minefield, please. And you can see all the Goliaths running, and that is, these Goliaths don't really see those Goliaths there, and they don't take them into consideration. And now Iron is sort of regaining command of its own natural, and Litterbot might have torn down this command center while gathering forces. So decision-wise, not ideal. Ironbot with Vulture push, couple of Wraiths, which are also sort of nullified in combat value because there are so many Goliaths out. 3 Goliaths coming in again. Going to do damage, going to delay, I think, this command center once more from finishing. And then they are going into the bloody main again. Oh, what is that? Why is the main so attractive? Why does everyone always boom! Yeah, there you go. Why does everyone always insist on taking the enemy head on and wading into minefields, fortified tank positions? Problem is for Iron that Litterbot will just keep pushing, and that's okay. The composition of Litterbot is better at this moment, but I saw the first tank the first tank dies, but fortunately, yeah, there you go. Oh god. I don't know what that's about. That's that really makes my mind hurt. They've got all kinds of heuristics taking your distance from combat units, which can outclass you, but then they do also. Even my locution is suffering. So now Ironbot is doing the contain thing again, has finished the natural, and Litterbot just had a great opportunity to get more ahead. Chasing Iron from its own natural. Wraiths are doing lots of damage though, and if they don't find a Goliath, they will get in there, get some kills. But Litterbot with a pretty good defense takes a couple of scans though, and you have only got so many scans at your disposal. The Goliaths are really doomed. Oh. Okay, I will never praise Goliaths again, not in this game. because although they do lots of damage to vultures, they keep on wading into minefields and fortified positions. It's just horrible. Meanwhile, the raids for Iron are gaining traction, and Literbot cutting them down, not building any turrets whatsoever, relying on the comsat and the energy running out. Question is, who's going to build a third? Ironbot up with the supply, up in workers. Army supply is about even. Army value, I'd say, is in favor of Literbot, and Literbot just ignoring everything on the high ground. Oh, whatever. Instead going for the delicious main, and although there are lots of mines in the main, oh, this time this train is arriving, that's pretty good, and Iron refusing to build any tanks. Oh, there's one, was one. So it's a bit of a shootout at this point. Another comsat up for Literbot. Literbot might take a third, but isn't really doing so, and it's just all these armies attacking in strange clusters. Literbot with a hell of a lot. Oh, it's targeting this wraith, but it can't scan it. One turret might be enough. This wraith is really getting a lot of damage done. And there it goes. Now this mass of vultures will be released onto the map. And you can see Literbot doing pretty well. Army supply is up. And that's mainly because there are a lot of Goliaths compared to the lots and lots of vultures of Ironbot. Ironbot is really some kind of stuck on these vultures. They are good, but if the enemy is going for pure Goliath, you might consider 1 or 2 tanks, which might stop the whole thing. Now there is 1 tank, it's going to go down, and we've got about 10 angry Goliaths in the base. They're going to suffer from mines a lot and will peter out eventually, but you can see Literbot's getting more ahead, and this would be an ideal time to take a third. Unfortunately, it's not happening, but more Goliaths are streaming into the base, and Iron seems to be conquered. Really interesting. Main out for Literbot though, so that's unfortunate. And all the vultures, oh god. Yeah, let's not defend the natural, because hey, why should we? And let's not build anything more because we haven't got any money. And it's a bit of a base trade. All the Goliaths, they're flipping out like mad. Killing the occasional building once or twice. But is this a base trade? Yeah, this is some kind of a base trade. Would say that the combat value here is a lot bigger than there, but eventually, oh, Iron's got a third up in a somewhat safe place. The main is going to go down. Iron steadfastly refusing to build anywhere else but in the main. And these Goliaths are doing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, in Literbot's base, we've got 1 vulture, 2 wraiths. And we've got the renegade 3rd base of Iron out there. And oh no. Oh no. No you don't. The entire expeditionary force stuck on neutral minerals and temple. Yeah. Okay, well, let's see what Iron's going to do with these 2 delicious SCVs mining here. We've got the deconstruction project going on there. Literbot has he got an SCV? I can't really see if a player's got SCVs or not. Apparently he hasn't got an SCV. All the Goliaths are stuck here, and Iron is just mining minerals, not doing anything with them. This raid might be stuck on something. Nice scan on the expansion, and oh bloody hell. These, they are distributing the damage between the buildings evenly. And Literbot's now got 1,000 minerals, only 2 SCVs here. The Goliaths are messing about here. And eventually this base is going to go down. This is absolutely ridiculous. Ironbot managed to bank 2k with only 2 workers. And that's the game, so valiant play by Literbot. Oh, and I should tune this down a little bit. No, damn it, no, I don't want the bloody app store, I just want you to play my replay, thank you. Okay, so, almost did it there. Literbot with a good play against Iron, getting stuck on neutral minerals and the neutral temple, unfortunately. Okay, that was pretty quick, wasn't it? We've got goons with some kind of Templar tech in the offing versus a nice wall by Literbot. Literbot is, well, Litterbot's still working hard, but I really feel that we at this point need more general AI and less scripts and cleverness, and more awareness of where am I, where is the enemy, what direction is the enemy taken, where might he be located, where can I take an expansion, when can I take an expansion. And meanwhile we are seeing lots of hard-coded clever algorithms of unit micro and the occasional unit counter, so if the enemy's got vultures, let's build Goliath. We've seen that a lot. Litterbot with the signature command center on the high ground, natural up for purple wave already, and this might be a third. No, not going to be a third. Purple wave losing a lot of units for some reason. I don't know why you can't deduce from there being tanks on the high ground that you shouldn't wave your goon army if it's only 2 goons around here. And Litterbot really can't move out at this moment, so third up for purple wave. And purple wave with the occasional sacrifice of goons here. And by the next scan I presume these Templar are going to die, or perhaps due to friendly fire. Yeah, there we go, and now Litterbot's going to get out on the map, and it's got a huge army, and purple wave hasn't got any army at all. 3 bases, no army. Or no army. And I cannot, you know the enemy's got about 10 tanks, a lot of bio, even a tank on the high ground, and you are going to wade in with 12 or 100 goons, it wouldn't work, but you're going to wade in with 8 goons, and that's just stupid. Why are combat simulators only working in these small areas? You really need to put a stop to these large-scale engagements where you just wade into 5 units and hope that God is with you and all these tanks have been obliterated by the Lord's wrath or something. Yes, Reavers are pretty good versus bio, as can be seen here. The problem is this tank battalion at the back of it, and although the bio army is getting nullified by these scarabs because the tanks and the marines are not really in range, now these Reavers are going to suffer horribly. Purple wave with another base, but you really need to have a concept of a flank and just really the next AI which is going to attack a tank line head on, I'm going to spank. I've really had enough of that. It's not that hard, just don't plug in a lot of rallies without gathering them up into a tank line supported by bio or just a tank line. Or it pisses me off, I can't say, and this I really like because purple wave has taken another base, making production buildings there. The only thing now needed is gathering them up, doing a flank or hitting the tanks from the rear. Instead it's just going to be, oh well, we've got a unit, let's send it on an A move because and that's a Reaver, and the Reaver's got a puny range, so let's let it attack a lot of tanks for some reason, and that's good. And if you've got production at another base, you're also automatically going to get a flank, and this is what happens. You are attacking the enemy in the rear where it hurts. This push will eventually, hopefully, before it reaches another of your bases, peter out. But you need to really save up a couple of units and let them attack in waves, because you are throwing them away. It is the hugest waste of Protoss life since the Protoss reenactment of Verdun. It really cannot be done. Yeah, boom, there goes your Reaver. And although there are units coming from here and there, they're just coming in one at a time. There are 10 tanks, they're coming, more tanks are coming. Bio units are here, and although there is a medic corps, let it be! Your natural is under attack! Oh help, Lord! Litterbot, meanwhile, supporting the push. And there goes the push, here goes the natural. Kill the natural first before venturing the main, very good. There goes the main, and although there is a there is a sizable army actually, but it's now having to make its way up across the ramp. There are no zealots, so this Terran army is dandy fine. Medics are being killed left and right, the goons are mulling about a bit, but getting some stuff done. You're going to need some kind of a 20-30 supply army to make at least a dent in this Terran force. It cannot be that an army worth about 30 supply takes down your natural and your main and gets away with it. Can't be done. Shouldn't be able to do that. Just gather up a small force. Don't do that constant A moving with rallies. You can only do that when you're ahead, like Leaderbot. But you can't do that, really. Stop doing that. Now, this base is going to go down. Leaderbot, of course, has got tanks, so can defend versus gateway units indefinitely. Main army hitting the natural. That's a good game for Leaderbot. Leaderbot really also macro a little bit more, I should say, because the natural's out and it's just this one big push. If this push somehow got halted, you would have nothing left for money, so that would be a problem. And Purple Wave's got a base here. It's transferring workers. Oh god. It's transferring workers, rebuilding this base. And sorry, I'm a bit of a desolate mood, but please make a general concept of where am I, where is the enemy, which expansion is safe, which expansion is not safe. And yet you can rebuild, but stop transferring. Any human player would have said, well, there are coming probes from this direction. There must be something there that is generating probes, and so it is. So the entire base is now overrun with tanks, and let's hop into the next game because I can't watch this any longer. So, Alien is back. Someone mentioned it was deactivated for some reason, and promptly it got reactivated for some reason. We don't know why. So I thought, well, let's have a good game versus TSC New Protoss. And from TSC New Protoss, which seems to have fallen in the ranks a little bit, you can say what you will, but it is one of the more clever AIs out there, and Alien has got the AI in there, and I've seen it do some pretty clever things. And I will try to focus not on the negative aspects of this game, but every once in a while, and especially after seeing a human player, I realize that the difference is still so big. And I cannot wait for IAIDE, for the big tournament in the States and Canada, to release the replays, because with all the Facebook and the Alibaba teams and the university guys out there, it's hopefully there are discoveries made about how you can learn, and not just this eternal build order wiggling around. Alien going for a Zergling contain, and perhaps it might decide, well, at this point we've got enough Zerglings, let's just go for it. And that's pretty clever, because TSCMU's only got 3 cannons and a Zealot. More Lings are coming, but also Hydras. And TSCMU's got this double base setup with the defense, which is pretty good, because if you got 2 bases you're a lot happier than just one. And more, I hope this is a cannon. Yeah, 4 cannons, another pylon out there, a couple of Zealots. Zealots might be positioned a little bit more here, in case these Hydras are going to join the fun. Because as a Protoss you're a little bit vulnerable for any kind of stuff, and especially if you're taking this hard. If a Zerg is going for a timing push, like it appears to be doing here, you need to have some kind of an army, a couple of goons. Reaver might be ideal. And this is going to be Corsair. So now the Zerg is thinking about venturing in, but the scouting information is outdated, but now keeping its distance, so that's pretty good. And as a Zerg you would ideally say, well, I've got the map at this point. The enemy's got 2 bases, perhaps take another base here, or take one there. It's very, very easy, or take just a 3rd here and defend that. If you've got the map you are going to, a Reaver out. So we've got a Reaver and a Corsair pestering this army a little bit. And the Zerg are running, but this Reaver nabbing a couple of Zerglings. This Corsair can't really get much done because there are Hydras out. Might be flown to this base here. Are we going to see more? Yep, we are going to see more Corsairs. And we've got a shuttle in a Reaver. And the Hydras nab it. So that was unfortunate. Shuttle speed might be a requisite before you start interfering with roving Hydras. Or perhaps just hit here. And that is very important as well. TSCMU trading a couple of Zealots for Zerglings. Hydras meanwhile are going to town on the Zealots. And the Zealots are going to get out microed. And there isn't even Hydra speed, I believe. And no Zealot speed either. Oh, they catch one, that's pretty good. Lings are coming to help as well. But in general, Zealots don't do very well against Hydras. So army-wise, Zerg at 10, TSMU Protoss at 16, and Zerg really missed a click here, because it could have built a third base. Ideally, you need to be one base up versus Protoss. A couple of probes getting cut off. TSMU's really got a smallish army as well, but it's got this 4 cannon setup preventing any free Zerg run by, and that's always a good thing to have. Just any kind of little something at your base, just so the enemy can't get in with a couple of Zerglings or a couple of Hydras. Really needs to do work. And now, ooh, that's a good shot. And we've got 2 shuttles with Reavers, and the thing is, Zerg needs to remember that there are shuttles with Reavers if it's got the concept, and it will need to act upon it. Now we've got Corsairs killing Overlords, 2 bases taken by Zerg, 1 by Protoss, and the game is a little bit of a decentral muddle at this moment. The Reavers, though, from 2 sides are dealing with the Hydras really rather well, and then there are Zealots for mopping up. So it's like a mobile tank army with infantry for backup, and that's pretty good decision making. Not getting over frightened for a couple of Hydras. Just keep on rolling, and then roll up with your main army if there is such a thing. Corsair count is increasing, and Reavers are rolling up after the Zealots with a couple of Corsairs, and this shuttle's got 2 Reavers, and it's going to pose a little bit of a problem, because there is a... Yep, there we go. Zerg in a lot of trouble, because there are 2 Reavers in the main base, and Zerg didn't really remember that there was an attacking force with 2 Reavers out there. And Zerg also didn't think, well, that's a Corsair, we need something to kill it. And the human player would make a better decision, build a spore, remember that there is a shuttle with Reavers, and that's quite a deadly combination. Look at all the drones falling. These Lings can't do anything, but they should. If after a shot they just run in, they at least can keep this Reaver tandem from killing stuff for free. And although you are trading unfavorably at that point, it's better than trading a lot of drones and your entire economy for nothing. Of course, 2 bases up for Zerg, okay. TSMU on 3 bases and a handful of Zealots in the main. The real problem is here. Ooh, that's nice. Couple of Scourge and another base for Alien. So Alien is not out of here, but out of the match, but it's a little bit depressed, shall we say. And TSMU has got no goons, so the Corsair just died. That's unfortunate. The Reavers are still in there, and the Scourge are doing okay. Is that a hive? That's a very quick hive. And with 1 spore you might create a safe zone here for these Overlords. As you can see, Alien's got a lot of Overlords out on the map. That's okay. TSMU 3rd is safe. Main is, oh god, just building production upon production and keeping that Zealot Reaver thing going. Reavers going to town on this. Well, it appears they only want to kill units. And Zerg is, well, doing okay. The Zealots, however, are going after the buildings, and that's that building. Not really interested in the extractor. Or are they? And these Scourge at this moment can only supervise the destruction of their natural. TSMU on 2 fronts at once now, with the Corsair fleet getting way out of control. You can't see the supply. Okay, well, this is the good game. Let's get into the next one. And it's Tier Protoss versus TSMU Zerg. Tier Protoss. Let's see how it's going to do with this masterful Zerg. And I really should keep the human versus AI matches confined to a specific broadcast where I do a theme of human versus AI, because it's just not fair. It's still not fair at this point. The only thing AIs can have is unlimited APM, and perhaps we should really cap that to 400 or something, because it's really hindering the development. I feel it's hindering the development of real AIs, of the thinking. And at this point, AIs are just trying to out-APM each other and do clever stuff without really thinking. And if you were to cap APM to about 200, you'd need to make some kind of a script for focus where on which zone of the map an AI is focusing and where it can actually spend that APM. And if you just use 200 APM over 200 units all across the map, you're getting a really interesting sight, but it's not really working. Now we see TSMU Zerg going for a lot of Zerglings, going for the contain, and Tier Protoss going for a large army, and I like that because it's good. It's good to gather up forces and not just move anything in one at a time. TSMU doing this of 2 bases, I'm surprised by that. Lings are going back to base, suspecting some kind of threat, and Tier just going for an army, and anything that might be said about being passive, yeah, that you can say that, but as long as you'll keep your stuff together, it's less vulnerable than if you let it get cut up piecemeal in all kinds of strange corners of the map. These overlords though are a little bit exposed, and now we've got some skirmish in the middle of the map, handful of Lings, handful of Hydras, and a handful of Protoss staying at home. So these goons, although they took out some overlords, are now I think going to fall prey to the Zerglings and the Hydras. This one gets caught, that one perhaps may kick it as well. The other goons are still staying in the main base, that's unfortunate. TSMU going for a third, good decision, not taking the natural, don't know what that's about. But army supply wise, it is attacking the Protoss army, and the Protoss army isn't really fighting. Don't know why all these units are not out there, and you've got a sea of Hydras outside of your base. And with gateway units there is only so much you can do, 1 or 2 storms and this would have been cleaned up. But with goons and zealots you're going to have to pay dearly to get those Hydras out of your base. TSMU now sitting back, not building any more combat units. You can see the army actually going down, and although it's on almost 3 bases, it could replenish. It isn't doing so. Its army is rather dropping at the moment. Tier is sort of holding this, but the natural is depopulated. And now 1 or 2 Zerglings are rolling up. TSMU at 30 army supply. That means that it's investing in infrastructure, in drones, in technology, and now a couple, oh there's 1 Hydra. But Tier Protoss is going to reclaim the ramp, and if it moves out it can also retake the natural and get back into the game. So TSMU could have made this work, this push, if it would have reinforced it. Could also have taken another base, but the worker count isn't all that high and it's still on 2 bases really. So for now the status quo after this skirmish has been reinstated, where Tier Protoss, with a worker transfer, all the workers, not many workers got killed it seems. So TSMU is doing okay, I would say, with a 3rd base up now, and Tier Protoss with a 2 base up is doing okay as well, killing the Overlord now with an observer. Small Protoss army, that's good, and this Overlord sniffs it as well. I don't really see what TSMU is doing at this point, because it's... what's it building? Lots of Hydras, not too many upgrades. So TSMU really didn't have the economy it had worker-wise. Tier Protoss is ahead of only 30 workers. TSMU might have taken a 3rd during all of this, and appears now to be going for a lair. And that's really late, so I really wonder what TSMU is doing. And Tier Protoss getting back into the game. The army supply is now double that of TSMU. And I'd say, yep, there we go. Good time for a little push. Now TSMU is TSMU, so you should be really careful about it. But if you've got a 40-50 supply army, you can do some damage, and you should put pressure on the Zerg. Always a good idea to put pressure on the Zerg. TSMU going for a couple of workers still, but in general I think it's going to lose the 3rd here. And if it does, look at this concave. The concave doesn't dare attack because this army is just too strong, and TSMU loses base, which it could have held if all these units would have attacked simultaneously. But the base is down. The base is down, and that's bad news for TSMU. TSMU with the entire concave might have crushed this small army, but isn't doing so. It's more content to kill reinforcements while it's losing another base, and Tier Protoss just doing way too much damage with these goons. I really like that, and TSMU is harassing too much Taking another base, yeah, that's a little bit late. And the army is, there is a sizable Zerg army. It could have killed this Protoss Expeditionary Force and then macroed on the back of that, but instead it's just losing stuff all over the place. A couple of Sunkens here won't save it. Just too many Protoss stuff out at the moment. And although with the Sunkens and the army TSMU would have won, I can't see it winning anymore, really. So these units are stuck for some reason. But here goes the main base, and if the main base goes, there is only one extractor. Oh, there is the dead extractor. So that really is the game. So good game for Tier Protoss, taking game of TSMU. And let's see how it does in PvP. Because I always like to see new bots by authors which have been into the game for quite some time. And I just like to see how they are getting about and what they are doing, and I need to speed up these initial stages of the game because it's just boring. So there we go, and the opponent is Lucas Moravec, and that I like for an opening. We saw TSMU do that earlier. Just claim this space too. You've got your natural 2. Lucas Moravec taking the natural, and Tier Protoss is way behind in army supply. There is no army whatsoever. There are a couple of cannons and the base, but there is 0 combat value, and Lucas Moravec is going for a weird dance of zealots, and you're going to need to build a lot of cannons because these zealots can, yeah, there's quite considerable combat value of these zealots, and if a couple of more show up, a couple more zealots show up, they can run down these cannons. Meanwhile, Lucas going to tech up hard, go for a couple of goons, going for goon range, and God knows what else. Natural up for Tier Protoss 2, worker count a little bit behind, and there is some army value. It's 3, and it's 3 zealots, so with the cannons for the time being, it's okay, in an okay position. But I feel that fast expansion with a forge really isn't... and Lucas is suffering. Yep, there it goes, killing one cannon. But at the cost of a couple of zealots and a lot of shield damage to the rest of them. And I don't really think that was worth it. These zealots should be a little bit closer to the cannons, because if you defend with your defensive structures and your army, you are getting an advantage, and that is something that AIs just should learn. Lucas going to take the in-base mineral only, going for more production and some kind of tech. Might be a Robo Bay, or perhaps Templar Archives, or a Citadel. Hasn't got a Citadel yet. What's it going to... oh, well, it's got a Citadel, yeah, Templar Archives. So I think that with a couple of High Templar, this army of Lucas is going to be in great shape. Tier is going for infrastructure, and after a Forge Fast Expand, you might really, yeah, you need some kind of tech to make this work. And Lucas is... oh, that's really painful to watch, that stupid combat sim again. It's losing all kinds of units for... no, oh well, it's 20 points in shields are down, so that's worth it, I feel. Meanwhile, Simon Prince is... Tier is catching up in army supply by virtue of this army occasionally suiciding a little bit into these cannons. No 4th base for Lucas Moravec, but we've got High Templars, and if you've got High Templars, I'm sure there are also going to be Storm, and Storm appears to be done. Big problem is that Lucas is not... the combat is awful, and you've got High Templars, but there are cannons, and it's not really appears to be working. Might take a 4th base, build a lot of cannons, got more storms. Yeah, you can storm, but then you lose. It really pains me to see, and Tier's army is now bigger than that of... it killed its own cannons. Why would you do that? And now we've got the storms, but at this time the Tier Protoss army is so large that it can just run out, and the army of Lucas Moravec, although it's just as large about, doesn't fight. So the decision when to fight and when not to fight, it fights here, but it's too late, and Tier Protoss gathering steam, going to roll over that, and I really don't see why you should kill your own cannons. It wasn't walled in. He could have made it out of there, but Lucas Moravec, nice try, but not really intent on fighting, and we saw that by TSC Muzerg earlier. If you do not fight, you will die, and that's the end of that. So that's the GG. Let's hop into another AI which got an update, and it's not Ice Labs, however much I would have wanted it to, because it's still one of the old masters from, well, the old master from Japan. Japan doesn't have any more old masters, but it's still a masterful AI, can do all kinds of good stuff, and it's the only AI which has got some kind of concept of a high ground, so that's to be commended and repeated till your ears drop off. Then we've got Random Hammer, which was updated, and let's see what it's going to do. Looks like some kind of... Ooh, very sneaky. Very sneaky indeed. We've got a dropship with 4 vultures in it, and simultaneously a small bit of pressure on the choke. Well, you're going to need more than a small bit of pressure, especially with this tank, which is going to siege soon. But these vultures are going to eradicate all these... Oh, that's unfortunate. Kill the ones outside, that's better. And these vultures are really doing a monstrous job. So many SCVs killed. This dropship should make it out of there. Yeah, that's not going to work. It's going to die, sure. Yeah, there it goes. So, a nice try, and Ice Lab has, and that's really atypical for it, has walled in a lot of its SCVs. Then again, it's got the natural up, it's got a tank on the high ground, so it's okay. It's ahead still, and a Random Hammer is trying to do cute stuff, or not do cute stuff. I don't know what that's about, but you never know. And here comes the small push for Ice Labs. And it's going to roll up the tanks, because the tank micro for Random Hammer is suspect, if I say that correctly. And I really don't. If you've got that atrocious of a tank micro, these 3 tanks of Ice Labs are going to blast down your base. Especially if it's a 1 versus 2 base situation, and although there are some SCVs here by now, the 3rd has started, and these, oh, there are one of the tanks, no, these are Ice Labs tanks, they're still untouched. That is really some kind of horrible tank micro by Random Hammer. Random Hammer losing another tank for free, and you are supposed to have the defender's advantage, but not if your tank micro is that bad, it doesn't work. You know, they are just flopping about, doing nothing. And Ice Lab, why would you bother? Just throw up a 3rd base and get things done. Just take a position outside of the natural, and Random Hammer now taking the natural. Cancelled that and rebuilt that. There were no tanks in range, I don't know why. And this is a huge prison for SCVs. That's unfortunate, and with 2 turrets here, the movement of these SCVs is really hampered, but this base will be mined out soon anyway, so it's not that much of a problem. Army supply wise, Ice Lab sitting back, and lots of money in the bank. Perhaps one of these SCVs got some kind of a mission. And no, the factories are pumping. Oh, the gas count is low. There is only 1 SCV on gas here. 3 there. Oh, it's coming now. So it was a... But still, I can't really understand. Oh, it's supply stuck, and I think one of these SCVs has been ordered to build a depot. Oh no, this SCV, one of these SCVs built 1 too. So Ice has got more economy than production, and I don't know why this... Random Hammer cancels the command center right before it finishes. And it has done that a couple of times. There it goes again. And it just cancels its own command center. Meanwhile, Ice Labs, yeah, there we go. GG! Look at this. Minefield, glorious. But just sitting there with a concave of tanks for reasons. And that's the game. Next! I thought, well, Random Hammer got an update, and Steam Hammer 2, and Steam Hammer I feel is a good bot because of all, and I need to check this, but I think that of all the Steam Hammer clones, Steam Hammer still is the best. Where is, yeah, Steam Hammer. It's still high up there, so that's, let's see, ELO 2149, pretty good. So let's get back into the game. It's a very good Zerg, so every time it gets an update I'd like to see it. Now, handful of Zerglings versus a handful of Zealots. Not going to win that as Zerglings. More Zerglings coming up. Occupying the bridges, always a good idea. Just keep a little bit of pressure on the Protoss. But I don't really see with the high ground or with the Zealots how you're going to do that. Natural is up though, and that is a quick lair. Nice standoff, not really interesting. Lots of Zealots, Zerglings though. But with the goons and the high ground, that's not going to work. Is it going to be cannon? Nope, not cannon. But the lair is up. Might be some kind of a lurker play, would be a good choice, as there is no detection on the side of Purple Wave. And the Zerglings just occupying the bridges and doing nothing much else. Skirmishing once in a while. Will we get... No, those are defensive structures, and that's a really strange build order by Steam Hammer, because 3 Sunkens are horribly expensive, and the Zerglings are not fighting. And Purple Wave is, so yeah, there you go. In the long run, oh, the Lurkers are, if you've got no detection, 2 Lurkers will stop any Protoss Gateway army if they don't unburrow too much and catch 3 goon shots. Oh dear, oh dear. I see how this is going to go down, because these Lurkers will unburrow too often and will die. And meanwhile, the entire Zerg Natural is being clobbered. These Lurkers though doing a great job, doing so much damage. McGreh, Purple Wave, without scouting, just wading through the Lurkers. It's not really working, doing a lot of damage. Worker-wise, Steam Hammer's in the gutter. But with these Lurkers, and this Lurker is going to unburrow and catch another goon shot. This can do that once or twice more, and then it's going to die. And that's the hard thing about Lurkers, you've got to know how to micro them. And we've got one Lurker here. Oh, the Lurker, yeah, popped up his head once too often, this one too. So that's the game. And fast hive. That's not really working at this point. Okay, so GG. Steam Hammer needs some work still. We've got Alien versus Bereaver. Okay, so that was the initial stage of the game. We've got a gateway into a fast core versus fast expansion. There's a couple of Zerglings, but this defense at the high ground choke is just too good. Alien with a lot of Zerglings again. And if you're not going to do anything with those Zerglings, it's a bit of a waste to build them, I feel. Meanwhile, we've got the first Sair out, Sair scouting everything, lots of Zerglings, but they're not doing anything, and you're throwing money away. Could have built drones, could have built a hatchery, and yep, you are putting pressure on the enemy, but it's not really working. And this Overlord spinning out like a madman. Alien, well, still not supply block, because there are still more Overlords, and we've got a shuttle with something in it. What's in it? Oh god. First Reaver Scarab duds, then damage will be done. And that's not good. All the links here, and that's no concept of AI, and Alien trying to balance the worker count here and there. It's not really working. Alien man, what are you doing? Sacrificing drones like a madman, and the Protoss army is getting so strong. Your Zergling army, nice concave. Nice run by, but you're going to need to do something about this, and as long as you don't do that, you haven't got a main. Now the main is dead. And that is the game. GG! So, Lucas Moravec versus Killabot, and we saw Lucas earlier refusing to fight versus Tier Protoss. Tier Protoss was fighting, which was good. And that's one of the things that bots sometimes forget, that in order to be clever or to win, What you need is an army, and you need to fight with it. And that is... oh, that's an interesting setup. I can appreciate that. Might be more interesting here, but I think that the cannon is worth its weight in minerals there. Yeah, that's a pretty good position now with the occasional zealot. And Killabot going for a little bit of Zerglings, but then not going overboard. You can see, worker-wise, it's 19 workers on 2 bases. Enemy is sort of contained. It's so well, it's got a forge and a nexus, so perhaps not really going to threaten me anytime soon. I can throw up... oh, I can evacuate all my workers and not build any army whatsoever. So two zealots are going to be a huge problem playing tag with the Zerglings. And Killabot really should need a larger army than 2.5 army supply, because third zealot now arriving in the base with the sunken, but the Lings refuse to fight, and instead the drones are catching damage. One zealot dying, another zealot dying, some damage to the sunken. That's okay. But Killabot really needs army, and it's building some now. Meanwhile, giving Lucas Moravec some time to build... oh, that's 2. Are they going to be Corsairs? Because 2 gate Corsairs, it's quite a lot. And now with a handful of Zerglings and a sunken, it can be okay. But the Corsair is out, and another one is out as well. So Lucas Moravec really going to tear the strip of the overlords of Killabot. Killabot having snuck a third out, very well done. But as you can see, we've got 2 Stargates flashing, or 1 still now, but we've got a lot of Corsairs, and the overlord count of Killabot is plummeting. There is no eBay, so there are no spores, and that is going to be a huge problem. There are some Hydras out now, but that is 20 supply down, and that is not good at all. Some overlords here might be safe, but in general the overlord count is severely depressed. There is only 1 alive, and these Corsairs are just going for the overlord, taking some damage from the Hydra, not running mindlessly from the Hydra. I like that. So that's a pretty clever play by Lucas. Then going into Dark Templar, which is good. If the enemy overlords are down, you're free to build Dark Templar. And look at this fleet of Corsairs. It should spread out more and try to deal with the overlords everywhere on the map. Killabot has rebuilt the overlords, lost the base, and now could do with another sunken here, because once this one... oh, overlords, all the overlords, and when the overlords are away, the Dark Templar are coming in, and they go straight for the drones, and what a massacre at what speed. And you really could do with 1 spore here, and these Dark Templar would never have come in. And now getting lost to the sunken, but the Corsairs, oh my god. And the Hydras try to do what they can, but at this point there are just way too many Corsairs. Small peek. We've got 12 Corsairs, 4 Dark Templar, and a 3rd base. And although Zerg's doing okay in fighting back a little bit, these 2 Dark Templars again are doing so much damage, and 1 spore would have prevented the entire thing, and that is really a disadvantage of not updating your bot if it's in some measure unfinished. 1 or 2 sunkens would have prevented this whole mess, but now there is a fleet of Corsairs one-shotting overlords all across the map. Couple of sunkens, you would be okay. Lucas Moravec, oh, losing a base here to Hydras. That's good, because army supply-wise, it hasn't got an army at all. And now there's 1 cannon, or there is 1 cannon more behind that. The Hydras are dropping in numbers somewhat now with the cannon, but that is the natural, and although the natural for Zerg is dead as well, with the overlords and the Hydras, at this point, I think that Killabot is doing extremely well, taking down the natural, and Lucas is trying to build units, but this was a build order which did not really work. And this base is now under attack by a small group of Hydras as well, but as the army supply of Lucas is 14, and that's all in Corsairs, which are out somewhere. No overlords here, that's strange, but the Hydra count of... oh god. Oh no. That one Dark Templar. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh god, oh god. And that is really a mismatch. One spore, just one. And more Dark Templars making their way into the main base. Main base zoned out by these Corsairs. And it's some kind of a weird base trade. We've got probes versus Hydras here, and with a couple of Overlords, so they are safe from Dark Templars, but the main base is being run down, the natural is exposed. This base is okay, but it's only got one hatchery. But I think this is some kind of a base trade, and we've got 3... Look at the damage these guys are doing, it's really insane. And all the drones being built are going to be torn to pieces. And instead of just securing one base first and then a couple of Hydras with an Overlord and kill these Dark Templars, we've got 4 now. It's not going to work, is it? It's just heuristics and no real intelligence, and that's showing at the moment. We've got a Corsair here, and I think that Kilobot just relocated its main base of operations to that base here, not building too much there. And the Hydras have torn down anything, and that's the last assimilator. So yeah, there we go. Oh, there is one more build. No, that was the game. So brilliant play by Lucas Moravec, and a little bit of a stultification play by Kilobot. But in the end, Lucas's build was too wacky to pull off the win. So we come to the last game of today's broadcast, and we started off with a man versus machine match, which was really good and showed that the machines still have got a lot of work to do. Looking forward to AIDE for some real learning and stuff, but in the meanwhile we are stuck with these beautiful monsters of our own. I thought, well, Ironbot defeating Crazio, and I think Ironbot is suffering a little bit from the other bots, which deal with vultures better than Crazio does. So I thought, well, let's have another good Terran, TSMU Terran, and we saw the Zerg earlier, which refused to fight. We saw the Protoss domineering with shuttles and Reavers, and now it's time for TSMU Terran. TSMU took second place at CIG. And it's pretty decent. I've seen it play big macro games versus Crazio, which were absolutely gobsmackingly beautiful. And now it's going for just camping its high ground, not letting anyone in, trying to get a scout out, but with all of these vultures of Iron out on the map. Iron playing passively, I don't understand that. TSMU going for the long distance mine, might take up position here. Yeah, that's a good play. And with the tank. So versus these vultures, TSMU at this moment is pretty safe. Going to be some wraiths too, and it's got an armory, so there may be some... Hello, why was that? Might be some Goliaths too, but with the siege mode and the vultures of its own, I think TSMU is in a good enough position as it is. Oh, that wraith just bugged out completely. TSMU getting a little bit of breathing space for itself, Iron taking a base too, and that's really what you should look for in TVT games. You can, with tanks and Goliaths, you can zone out such large swaths of surface area. If you've got a good concept of where it's safe and where it's not safe, you can do pretty well. And that mine was such a clutch mine. Took out a vulture and an SUV and did damage to that tank. TSMU under a little bit of pressure now, and although its supply is higher, it's just one big mess of mines out here. That's really something. Now inching up on these mines and vultures, and it's going to be... oh dear, yeah, that's very well done. Sent the vultures first and then blast them with the tanks. Pretty well done. And TSMU should be taking a... Oh god, not again. I hate it when units do that, but you can't prevent it, obviously. TSMU in a good position, sieging, unsieging, and these wraiths of Irons have some kind of weird flaw. TSMU now out with a Valkyrie. That's a good choice, I feel, because it can provide air reconnaissance and also do pretty well against wraiths. And there we go. Will we see an encounter? No, we won't. TSMU driving back the Terran forces, and these wraiths of iron are really costing in the game at this point, because once they are attacked by Goliaths, they freeze and they don't do anything at all. Nice blast back from iron, doing damage to 2 tanks simultaneously. TSMU not really up there with the repair as much as iron is, but with the tanks versus vultures, although one of them is sticking its neck out way too much, TSMU taking the third, and this is just going to be a trap, I feel. If you are going in there, SCV can go in there and come out, but if a combat unit goes in, it won't come out ever again. And TSMU now with the Concave, some tanks here, a couple of, should have some tanks here as well, but it's, it's just a black hole for units, and that's really unfortunate, because TSMU is doing pretty well. Iron is on 2 bases, TSMU on 3. TSMU going to take another base here as soon as it gets a scan. That's pretty cleverly done, taking the base. The problem is though that there is a black hole for units, and I'd say, judging by it's got, you can't really pass it, and if you do, you are going to get sucked up in it. So that's unfortunate. Oh, the tank is now going to siege and kill these vultures trying to run by. But that is really unfortunate for TSMU, and Iron is now setting up a tank wall of its own and taking the third. This base is, well, I hope it dies, and if it does, that these units are going to be killed, because that's so cruel for TSMU, because that's, I think, at this point, about 20 army supplies stuck in there. And that's about the edge you have over Iron. And Iron is, if you let it come to this kind of tank wraith wars, it's going to be a bloody mess. And I am losing. I think that the engagements of TSMU are a little bit better, and the rates of Iron aren't really up to scratch. But this is not good. This tank, it's moving, spamming too much. It can't reach this base here, and I fear it's going to be sucked up into this cluster. And I hope that this siege tank at this point is preventing any more units from getting sucked in. But it's not good, and I can tell you that. And these vultures are running in here trying to kill stuff, but they're not getting anything. And look at all these snouts of the vultures. There must be 20 units in there by now. TSMU though, powering happily ahead, taking another base, doing quite well. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, that tank also got some kind of caught. Another armory, always good. TSMU might also build more production facilities abroad. And really, this is really sad, because Iron is just pushing here. TSMU can't really defend it, and it's a mess pushing Iron back with only half of your army, and the other half of your army stuck here in a muddle of God. Got a lot of brute war. And it's not so bad, because a human player would easily recognize what's going on and kill this or try to unstuck this, but at this moment it's just not happening. And turning this into an interesting game, because TSMU is on the march here. It's obvious that it's got the better tank micros, got the better air reconnaissance, and these Valkyries are doing work. So TSMU is pushing in this direction, it's doing well. Iron, meanwhile, taking another base, and TSMU severely hampered by this 20 supply worth of units, which is not available. But for now, I think TSMU is in a good position, because Iron is going to get cut off from its colonies as TSMU takes position on these bridges here, and just getting a lot of kills, every unit getting its nose stuck out here for free. Lots of free kills here, and now you can see TSMU's got this area. So if this force falls, TSMU's got free reign to this base, and that's quite crucial to Iron's operation right now. This Wraith going down to the Valkyrie, TSMU pushing up to the natural, and this base is being pushed down as well. No harassment going on in here, and that's something that I feel even TSMU can improve upon. If you've got a small amount of thinking time left, every once in a while take stock of which bases are taken, and yeah, there you go, beautiful play by TSMU, even Iron can't give up. Just keep track of all the bases, what is there. If there is a mine, kill it. It's only vision for the enemy. And if there is a juicy base producing lots of income for Iron, just send off 2 or 3 vultures and kill it. Oh, Iron now moving out, but TSMU is there with the battlecruiser and lots of tanks and all. And this cluster is still stuck, but I don't think it's playing as much a role as it used to, because Iron is on one base basically. And TSMU, look at the army. Oh god, Iron is really in for a hard time. It will need a lot of good play to break out of there, and TSMU, I feel, is freeing up supply for battlecruisers. Got a lot of tanks, and this is unfortunate. That was a Yamato, that's always nice to see. TSMU is going to take its sweet time in getting Iron to its knees. And you can see Iron bots at 100 supply, TSMU to 196. And I think that is, it wants to lose the next 2 army supply and it can build another battlecruiser. Unfortunately, Iron, with the lacking air cover, is going to suffer from these encroaching tanks. And perhaps TSMU might not even lose a single unit in this game anymore. Oh yeah, there it went. So that's another battlecruiser, I feel, for TSMU. And TSMU taking its sweet time. More units coming up. A little bit of defense, a little bit of repair. Tank is going to be repaired as well, eventually, if it stops flopping about. And now TSMU's found this base too, with a battlecruiser and a couple of science vessels. So that's that, and that was the game. So this was this week's broadcast of the Student StarCraft AI tournament. Thank you for everyone sending in the game. And I especially like the Man vs. Machine game sent to me by Martin Royker's author of BetaBot. Oh god. Now my PC froze. I hope we are still in there. And I hope the recording is still going. But thank you for watching. Hope to see you again next week. And oh so god, here it goes. I hope a fatal error. Protoss is not supported yet. Ran out of memory. So this was the game. Thank you. Please visit, support us, and see you again next week. Goodbye.